Hello everyone. In this current lecture, that is the second part of the reproductive health, we are going to discuss about the medical termination of pregnancy, sexually transmitted diseases, assisted reproductive technology, and how the fetal disorders can be detected. Before going into the details of all these topics, we'll just look into the problem which we have seen in the earlier lecture, where we have seen that in the male, these are all the various events that occur during the reproduction process, and in female, these are all the events that occur. Later, there will be meeting of sperms and eggs, and this leads to the fertilization, and finally, implantation will occur, and there will be further development. So, there are various birth control methods, contraceptives, that prevent these events in different stages. So, when it comes to the first one, in the case of male, vasectomy is a surgical method where the vas deferens will be cut. Therefore, there will not be transport of sperms down the male duct. And abstinence, condoms, coitus interruptus, or withdrawal method. These methods can prevent the sperms deposition in the vagina. And in the female, usage of birth control pills, injections, or maybe implants can prevent the ovulation process. Periodic abstinence in the female can prevent again the sperm deposition in the vagina. Tubectomy is the surgical method where fallopian tube will be cut and tied back. This one can prevent the transport of the oocyte in the oviduct. Usage of spermicides, diaphragms, cervical caps, progestogens in the IUDs can prevent the movement of sperms inside the female reproductive tract. Progestogens, again in the form of pills, injections, and implants, can prevent the implantation process. So, this is of various contraceptive methods can prevent various events of fertilization in male as well as in female. Then coming to the present lecture, the first topic that we are going to discuss is the medical termination of pregnancy. So it is one intentional or voluntary termination of pregnancy. So here the fetus will not be allowed to develop. So fetus development will be prevented in the early stages only. So there are many legal issues related to this MTP. So in legalizing this MTP, there are emotional, ethical, religious as well as social issues involved in this. In India, MTP is being legalized in the year 1971, but with strict conditions, particularly to prevent the female feticide, that is the killing of the female fetus. So why this MTP has to be performed? Why it is being legalized, for example, in India? So when it comes to this particular aspect, the MTP is meant for preventing the unwanted pregnancies. Say for example, the carrying of baby or the continuation of pregnancy in the woman lead to some complications or maybe the death of the woman. In that case, the MTP has to be performed. When it can be performed, so in which stage of the gestation the termination can be performed, means it is safe in the first trimester only. That's why the MTPs will be performed only in the first trimester only, that is within the 3 months of development. And the important problems associated with this MTP is misuse. So here the MTP can be misused for the female feticide, that is to kill the female fetus. This is one of the important misuse of this particular method. And performing this MTP by unqualified coax is another important problem. This can lead to the death of the mother as well, a mother also. And when it comes to the stats related to the medical termination of pregnancy, there are about 45 to million, 50 million MTPs performed throughout the world. This particular figure accounts for one-fifth of the total pregnancies conceived. That is, one-fifth of the total pregnancies in the world are actually terminated. Next, sexually transmitted diseases or venereal diseases or reproductive tract infections are the diseases which are transmitted through the sexual intercourse. And AIDS, hepatitis, these kind of diseases can also be transmitted through the blood transfusion also. Coming to the important sexually transmitted diseases, the viral diseases include AIDS, which is caused by the human immunodeficiency virus, hepatitis B, caused by hepatitis B virus, genital herpes, caused by herpes simplex virus, and genital warts caused by human papilloma virus. And bacterial diseases include gonorrhea, which is due to the Neisseria gonorrhoeae, syphilis caused by Treponema pallidum, chlamydiasis caused by Chlamydia trachomatis. And protozoan diseases include trichomoniasis, which is caused by Trichomonas vaginalis. Among these, except AIDS, hepatitis B, and genital herpes, these three, the remaining diseases can be treated completely. That is, the remaining diseases are completely curable when detected in the early stages. But these cannot be cured. Prevention is the only way how this disease can be controlled. And this human papilloma virus can also cause cervical cancer, that is, cancer in the cervix region in the female. One of the important risk factor for this cervical cancer is prolonged usage of contraceptive pills. So we have seen the importance of contraceptive pills in the birth control in the earlier lecture. So prolonged usage of these contraceptive pills may also lead to cervical cancer. So this is one of the risk factor here. So what happens in this cervical cancer is there will be abnormal growth of cervical cells, or cervical dysplasia will occur. That is abnormal growth in the cervix region. Symptoms include pain in the pelvic region, increased vaginal discharge, and abnormal bleeding. And this cervical cancer can be diagnosed by Papa-Nicolau, that is the cells collected from the cervix region combined with the HPV test. X-ray, CT scan, that is a computed tomography scan, magnetic resonance MRI scan, or maybe PET scan, that is position emission tomography scan. So all these scans can also be used in the diagnosis of cervical cancer. Now coming to the treatment, radiation therapy, chemotherapy, and even surgery also can be performed in the treatment process. And when it comes to the prevention, detecting the precancerous changes in the cervix is one of the way how this can be prevented. Vaccines are also available to prevent the cervical cancer. In addition to that, intake of a healthy diet, avoiding tobacco usage, preventing early marriages, practicing monogamy, regular exercise can also prevent this cervical cancers. And overall, in case of sexual transmitted diseases, the early symptoms include, that is, the common symptoms for all the sexually transmitted diseases include itching in the genital regions, fluid discharge, slight pain, swellings in this genital region. If not treated early, this may lead to the later complications, which include pelvic inflammatory disease, that is, inflammation of the pelvic region, abortions, that is, the termination of pregnancy, stillbirths, or maybe ectopic pregnancies, which means the implantation may occur in the regions other than the uterus. Say for example, implantation may occur inside the fallopian tube, which may lead to the death of the mother also. That is called ectopic pregnancies, and infertility, and even sometimes cancer also. So if these STDs are not treated in the early stages, it will lead to all these complications. And coming to the prevention of these STDs, practicing safe sexual practices is the best way to prevent the STDs. In case of these early symptoms identified, the consulting a doctor if there is a doubt is another way how this disease can be prevented in the early stages only. And coming to the infertility, one couple, if not able to produce children in spite of unprotected sexual cohabitation, which means without usage of any kind of birth control methods, if they are not able to give birth to the children, then that condition is called infertility. The reasons include physical problems, or maybe congenital problems, or maybe some kind of diseases, or maybe usage of drugs, immunological problems, or even psychological problems also. So the solution for this infertility is assisted reproductive technology. That is, there is some kind of techniques which are assisted in the reproduction process, and we are going to discuss these ARTs in detail now. So one of the important ART, that is assisted reproductive technology used, is in vitro fertilization, or in the common nomenclature we consider this one as test tube babies. So here what we'll do is from female, the female will be given with excess of FSH like hormones, therefore there will be super ovulation. So the eggs will be collected from the female. Now the semen will be collected from the male. The sperms and the eggs will be allowed to fertilize. So there will be in vitro fertilization. That is, in the laboratory condition, the fertilization will be performed. Now it will be followed by embryo transfer. So from this, the embryo will be obtained. Now this embryo will be transferred into the various regions. If this embryo is transferred into the fallopian tube, then that is called a zygote intrafallopian transfer. So in the early stages of development, that is zygote or the early stages of embryo will be transferred into the fallopian tube. Then then the technique is called zygote intrafallopian transfer. And in the case of intrauterine transfer, if the embryo is having more than 8 cell stage, for example, it will be directly transferred into the uterus only. That technique is called intrauterine transfer. So in vitro fertilization followed by embryo transfer, in which GIFT or IUT will be performed in the case of test tube babies. Sometimes embryos which are produced in vivo conditions in some other individuals can also be used for the transfer here. Now in the case of GIFT, that is a gamete intrafallopian transfer, say for example the woman is unable to produce the gametes, but her reproductive system, particularly the uterus, is able to support the pregnancy. In that case, the gamete will be collected from a donor. That gamete will be transferred into the fallopian tube of this particular person. So fertilization will occur, and later the implantation will occur inside the uterus. That is called gamete intrafallopian transfer. I repeat, the gametes will be collected from the donor and will be transferred into the fallopian tube of the defective person. Therefore, the fertilization will occur here, implantation will occur in the uterus. And in the ICSI, that is intracytoplasmic sperm injection, the sperms will be collected and they will be directly injected into the cytoplasm of the egg. Sometimes artificial insemination will be performed. Say for example, the male partner is unable to produce semen with a sufficient number of the motile sperms. In that case, the semen will be collected from the male partner and that will be artificially inseminated in the female reproductive tract. So in that, one of the technique that is used is intrauterine insemination. That is, the semen will be inseminated directly into the uterus. It is intrauterine insemination. And it is required to detect the disorders in the early stages of the fetus development. So in that, one of the important technique that is used is ultrasound scanning. In this, ultrasounds will be used, no radiation will be used to detect the defects in the fetus. So usually performed in the first trimester only. And another technique is amniocentesis, where the amniotic fluid will be collected. So we have seen there will be different embryonic layers surrounding the fetus. In that, one of the embryonic layer is amnion. So you can see the amnion here, and this is the amniotic fluid is. So by using a syringe, the amniotic fluid will be collected. This amniotic fluid will be consisting the cells released from the fetus. So the cells from the fetus can be collected from the amniotic fluid. So this will be performed in the 15th to 20th weeks of development. So the importance of this amniocentesis is, once these cells are collected from the amniotic fluid, the chromosomes can be separated, therefore the chromosomal abnormalities can be detected. Next important technique is chorionic villus sampling, and we know chorion is another embryonic layer which will form the villi, and these villi will be involved in the placenta formation. So this chorion belongs to the fetus only. So when we collect the cells from this chorionic villus, these cells also can be used for the observation of chromosomal abnormalities, for example. And by using the fetoscopy technique, it is possible to monitor the fetus heart rate and other functions also. So this is another important technique for identifying the fetal disorders. So by using amniocentesis or chorionic venous sampling, say for example, the chromosomes are being isolated. Now the chromosomes will be arranged according to their sizes and centromeres. So as we know, in the case of human, there are totally 22 pairs of autosomes and one pair of sex chromosomes. So in these 22 pairs of chromosomes, each pair consists of two chromosomes of same type. Say for example, first type, two copies, second type, two copies. Like this, 22 different types of chromosomes are there, each one of two copies. So in this particular karyotype, you can see instead of two copies, the 21st chromosome is having three copies. The remaining all chromosomes, you can see only two copies are there, but here there are three copies of 21st chromosome. And the condition, if it is male, it can be XY, and if it is female, it can be XX. So this condition is called Down syndrome. So which we'll see in detail in the genetics part. So it's Down syndrome. It's one genetic disorder. So you can see by using this amniocentesis process, that is by collecting the cells from this amniotic fluid, it is possible to detect this particular disorder in the early stages only. So based on what we have discussed in this reproductive health topic, try to find out the answers for these two questions. In the context of amniocentesis, which of the following statement is incorrect? First statement is, it is usually done when a woman is between 14 to 16 weeks of pregnant. It is used for prenatal sex determination. It can be used for the detection of Down syndrome. It can be used for the detection of cleft palate. The second question is, which of the following approach does not give the defined action of contraceptive? First one is barrier method, prevent fertilization. Second question is intrauterine devices increases the phagocytosis of sperms, suppress sperm motility and fertilizing capacity of sperms. Hormonal contraceptives prevent retard entry of sperms, prevent ovulation and fertilization process. Vasectomy prevents spermatogenesis. So try to find out the answers for these two questions. Both are actually asked in the earlier entrance exams. So thank you very much for your attention.